Hello and a very warm welcome to the second edition of Human Resource Summit, a series dedicated to update, upskill and upgrade the HR community. The summit was an opportunity to learn from industry stalwarts through interactive sessions and to understand the latest trends and technologies available to make HR processes more efficient. The summit kick-started with a lamp lighting ceremony by the dignitaries.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the keynote address, which would be all about and now knowing the pulse of our dearest audience members, you know what you're looking forward to. The keynote address would talk exactly and more about empowering employees, promoting the economic development, the social justice, the industrial harmony, and welfare of labor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Queen of Drapes, the BJP spokesperson, Executive Board Member of Prasar Bharati, the World Chairperson of Giants Welfare Foundation. Please welcome Miss Shaina NC with a beautiful round of cheer.
India's story is phenomenal. And now, post-COVID, when everyone thought everything will take a dip, things are just going upwards, upwards, upwards. And as an Indian, I feel so proud that we belong, and I belong to a party where our leader is committed not just to Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Prayas, but is committed to the growth story of India. And I feel as HR experts, you all are the torch bearers. You all are the people who are going to take forward this mission of Make in India to make the world by India. So in that sense, my best wishes to everyone sitting here, my best wishes to all of you who have come from different parts of the country and of course different parts of the state. I truly believe that this is the golden period. We talk about Amrit Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat, we talk about Amrit Kal. Genuinely, our journey starts now. A lot of people criticize and say, oh, such stringent laws. But if you do nothing wrong, what do you have to worry about?
The first panel discussion of the summit emphasizes on the global employment trends for youth, which will potentially transform the future of work for young India.
How do we change mindsets to get more and more people amongst the young to opt for careers in project management and construction and so on?
People are looking for sectors that can come closer to them rather than everybody fulfilling their dreams of living a better life by migrating to the cities. The challenge being that the sectors which come to them and provide them hyperlocal opportunities possibly has not been really able to up the game and have been able to leverage as to what young people demand or what they expect. They like to make use of technology, they like to work in fast-paced environments, they are aware of what benefits they should get as an employee of an organization instead of being exploited in the name of employment. If all these demands are met, and I would urge everybody sitting out there to go and talk to young people firsthand instead of depending on secondary sources of data, to ask them what is it that they really desire when we talk about opportunities. I am sure they are open to work in other sectors as well.
The sector skill councils, which we are talking about and which you mentioned in the opening remarks, especially of NASSCOM, especially of logistics and electronics, seem to have been doing better, and please forgive me if I'm wrong, than the Construction Skills Council. What are the reasons for this, and how would you suggest, what do you think HR people sitting here can do to really bring the awareness and make these councils, especially those which have involved hands-on work, more popular?
We have to bring dignity to the labor, leverage aspirational job roles with innovative curriculum, and also leveraging technology in actually executing works. I really admire and we all admire the L&T, which is really at the apex of the corporate world in work ethics and creating that kind of health, safety, environment kind of sensitization to the workforce. These will actually bring in dignity of labor and pride in the job. So if we really can do that, definitely it will come up to the expectations of the NASSCOMs and the electronics sectors, which are largely organized. So I think that is my moot point.
The second panel discussion put the spotlight on how hyper-personalized learning and development can drive business performance of an organization.
So it is more and more AI is there, learning machine is there. There are many options are available in the market, in the organization also. And people can choose their training also. This is the advantage of Kishore, of this personalized training.
Individualized coaching, which has become a very big thing back again in organizations. It is nothing but a very hyper-personalized form of actually learning in the development. The second one, which I have seen technology coming in, I think we have been a very extensive users of Coach Vani. What we talk about is that when people are in various far-flung places where they cannot be brought together to do that kind of social learning, where the individualized, hyper-personalized learning, where it is personalized to that person, where he is in the journey, and the time when he wants to learn, and the form in which he wants to learn. I think it's a beautiful way the technology has come in to make that particular kind of a learning come to life for that individual at that moment.
For us, for example, one of the most critical part of the journey is when people are getting promoted. And if they're getting promoted, then they know they have to go through a BEI, like a behavioral event interview in the institution, to really be able to show out their marquee capabilities. And I think the fact that we can put them through interviewing techniques or abilities, workshops, which give them a perspective on what competencies are, etc., we are able to hyper-personalize the journey there.
I strongly believe companies who invest or feel that employee experience is as important as the customer experience they are wanting, they have a much better success rate because it all begins at home.
Effectiveness of learning is measured in retrieval. And today when we are assailed by so many things competing for our attention, it's very important that people find out their own ways to lower the cognitive load, absorb it so that it remains with them. So it is very difficult to have standardized learning and then expect people to assimilate that and retrieve it on the spot. So without hyper-personalized learning, effectiveness is going to be subpar. So that's primarily the reason why we need to do it.
The important aspect of hyper-personalization that you can misinterpret is to focus too much on the outcome and not focus on the process that the individual will go through.
The need for learning is moving towards being available as and when I need it, rather than it being forced to me on as and when the organization thinks that I need to be learning it. So micro bite-sized learning content or information or a product catalogs or how to deal with the situation or a process or how to identify gaps in the quality or how to identify whether I've done it right or wrong. Is that in that moment of truth I need that information?
I believe that we all have to think in terms of 3 layers of solution and prioritize accordingly. There are a lot of solutions, those are becoming more of hygiene factors right now. What was acceptable yesterday is below par today. What was great yesterday has become at par today. So all those solutions, whether it's in terms of payroll management or employee experience, so all these platforms, these are around hygiene. So that's one area to think about. The other one is where you can go a little deeper in the sense that if someone's performance has not been improving for the last 6 months, what trends are you seeing in repeat behavior that you want to change? So can you derive intelligence from that? So are there technology solutions that help you filter those insights so that you can bring about behavior change? And at the highest level, which probably requires a much longer outlook, a little bit of risk appetite, would be the use of new age solutions that can predict what's going to happen in the future. So if you want to understand that what is the role I would be hiring for 3 years from now, can you set a system today which will tell you 2.5 years hence that now in the next 6 months, these are the people you need to be hiring. So these are the 3 layers of technology solutions, and the organizations should choose based on what is most relevant for their business today, but also what will become critical in the next 18 to 24 months.
Moving on, the next panel discussion focuses on how HR professionals can learn the best practices in data analytics and strategy to build high outcome learning systems.
There's so much data around and it's at so many places. How do we think about using data to draw intelligence which can be built for better learning outcome.
Just to give you a quick perspective with respect to, at Vedantu, for example, we have clearly two aspects of data usage. One is towards customer, one is towards business, right? In both the cases, right, for the students as well as internal stakeholders, right, there are three roles which we primarily play, right? The first one is the enabler role, right? We call it business governance, right? This is to enable teams, leaders, as well as their managers to make the right decisions, right? Usually, all the data-driven intelligence has been proven to be much more effective than whatever comes out of the gut, right? So the data there is used to make the tactical, strategic, as well as operational level decisions on a daily basis.
So as someone who has worn the advisor cap for a very long time for organizations across the globe, and now being in the position of an internal customer, how would you want us to think as we move into the next phase of learning?
One of the things we figured out was thin staffing. Instead of really building a team up front, pushing it up, we would really start with one or two people solving a project, even a department. And that, driven with technology and data would be a huge impetus for very pedigreed people to come and join us. That I found was a huge game changer for me in terms of who we could hire. In terms of just building the org, as Anand was saying, data informs decisions, informs leaders. I think what is also important is applying some of the cool data science principles which we all hear in marketing, right? Personalization. I saw some personalized learning being talked about today. But personalization, what is super cool about personalization is you can create nudges. You don't have to be overt about the signals you send out.
Over the last decade or so, both the areas which needs to be learned and the learning process that has evolved, right? And so as the capability to store and use data for personalize the learnings, right? I believe that now is the right stage. The stage is set right now for HR and all the L&D departments to start leveraging this, to start understanding what data intelligence and advanced data sciences can bring to the learning process of the employees, right? And then start leveraging it to get better ROI, not only ROI, but a better learning experience as well for the professionals.
Our next standalone session puts the spotlight on how organizations can drive employee experience through automation.
So, welcome to the world of automation, and I would invite you to have some of the things introspect, challenge. Don't be complacent on that. I've been successful. I've got this. Can we really be on the board? Can we really talk about balance sheets? We did one small survey. We asked about, again, 700 HR people at the head and the next level, how many of them can understand and read the balance sheet and interpret? Slightly disappointing, 89% of the people felt they cannot. 11% were good, but 89 people even the next level people in HR are not able to understand the balance sheet and what it constitutes to business. Hence, there's an opportunity. I'm not seeing it as a problem. Hence, there's an opportunity for HR to learn finance and IT apart from the business. If we do that, friends, we'll be also a part of the boardroom. We'll be consultants to the board.
So let's go back and say, what has this pandemic done for us? Pandemic created a huge mix of multiple emotions. Emotions of job loss, emotions of security, emotions of insecurity, emotions of freedom, emotions of work-life balance. So if you see, it's a mixed bag of emotions happening. And when now people are returning to work, depending upon each vertical has a different, for example, pharma was never shut down, or a lot of manufacturing was never shut down. But what it has instilled is a great sense of personalization. All of a sudden, each of the employees of the HR, the human capital, started worrying about their own career. They got time to introspect. Now there's a huge demand on HR systems to take care of that. Which means your appraisal systems is going to change, because earlier it was individual appraisals, now it is team appraisals. Earlier it was centralized control, now it is decentralized way. So all the systems in HR, like from performance management, talent acquisition, including something like time attendance, learning is going undergo change for good. Why? Because now each employee is able to impact his or her life from these processes.
The next panel discussion alludes to the importance of reinventing workforce and increasing technology intervention driven by people.
What should be the role for HR in the present and the future context?
Every single human being has to have an HR mindset, which is a people mindset. People who are in the fraternity understand people a notch better than the rest. But does it mean that a line manager doesn't know how to deal with people? Doesn't work. Because the moment you become a people manager, you've got to know how to deal with people.
So the entire spectrum at which we need to operate, that's becoming really challenging for HR, right? And that's where I think the future of HR lies, that we understand each and every element of this spectrum and how we can support our employees, our organization to still grow. That is important.
Technology, while it was there, but the adoption has become very fast. More so that HR actually got an access now to what really happens on a daily basis productivity.
HR will remain as a trait in each manager, and the so-called HR people's role is to bring a combination of technology and finance into each manager and empower. And I would call HR is not human resource, it has to be human recognition. And if each one of us as human being start recognizing human and see what the assets are that are there. And I'm saying if you look at the reverse, if you see most of the successful HR managers are the managers who talk business, who understand finance. Like I was taking the last session also, I got HR managers talking, can I improve my EBITDA margins by 5.5, which is equal to 100 crores. So to answer your question, it's a great opportunity for HR people. And often, like Rupa was saying, people see we're not empowered. I got a suggestion to the people all sitting here, and as a human being, and I get questions from HR, we are not empowered. Budget finance ko milta hai ya sales ko milta hai. So my answer to them is, empowerment is like E is equal to MC square. Your empowerment is your motivation, into your commitment, into your collaborative way, how we work with other departments.
I think the way that I look at this is the buck stops at support enablement. I wish HR also comes up with innovation if they want to be powerful for the future. What is it that you've brought about? Where have you gone about, outperforming your competition, what you've managed to enable your employees? Now that is when you'll be able to comply with whatever technology is going to come into work.
The next standalone session provides insights on how a tech business can scale using the VUCA model.
So we started off with all of this, the volatile, the uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment when we started Purple Quarter as well. I'm just going to take a dig into it because of the fact that technology leadership was not easy. Most CEOs are the front runners. You've got your CTOs who are your backseat drivers who are driving all of this technology platform. And that is exactly what we've managed to do from a Purple Quarters per se. But why we're even talking about this in today's date and time is because of the fact that VUCA is something that delivered a lot of companies, a lot of startups, a lot of new innovations to come to the foray. So our take is most of the companies that are here should invest a lot in innovation, should look at how can we empower. HR folks here think about how digitally we can empower whatever we do in our daily lives. And why is it relevant? Why is it important? It's important for one important fact, that it will give rise to a lot of clarity in our lives. We'll end up doing better jobs, and we'll end up looking at knowledge, which is probably right now we're doing a lot more data entry in certain parts of the roles that we do. We'll actually move on to doing better jobs, and we'll have the most of the data entry jobs automated. So our take is we'll have to look at it more digitally, and digital world will yield from VUCA. So we want to see a positive side to VUCA. I think the most important piece that comes to the forefront is autonomy. This also includes a lot of HR folks that are there today. How have they played
the major roles in their companies. Have they been given enough autonomy and power to actually take those decisions for their employees? I think that becomes the most important piece, to feel valued and to be given that autonomy. The second piece, which I think, is to outwork yourself from your competition. What I mean by that is always stay ahead of seeing how you can retain your employees. I don't mean by giving them increased amount of compensation, but I mean by giving them increased amount of benefits. What more can you do for them from a meaningful way of engaging them in your current workplace? Do you give them enough amount of freedom to actually come about with their ideas, executing those ideas? It's also about how do you look at using your employees who can move across different cross-country for different projects that you have. So I think outworking would be one important thing that we can take on.
A fireside chat themed reimagining people-centric work culture stressed on how tech can play a pivotal role in ensuring seamless work culture for frontline workforce.
In your own experience, and if you guys also want to add your nudges to it, if let's say we were to take a view of establishing seamless culture within an organization, the journeys that perhaps you guys have already gone through, are going through, Vishal, to your point, it's in any which way is an ongoing initiative. Where do you feel technology can help such organizations the most?
It starts with the employee experience and employee engagement. That becomes the most important aspects that are there.
For me, one of the most important aspects of an employee life cycle is ensuring productivity. Today, we have appraisal systems which measure performance at the end of the year, right? If that can be continuous, to add the seamless aspect, if that can be on a monthly, daily, weekly, whatever time frame, I think technology as an enabler has to move forward on all of these aspects too.
Technology can really help bring employees in similar roles together for all that learning, assimilation, knowledge sharing to happen. So those are, in my mind, some beyond HR sort of points on which a lot of development has been made, and we are seeing a lot of good results or traction because of that.
Had a great day today, wonderful time spent. In fact, today's summit, you covered a lot of ground, started with talking specifically about learning and workplace culture, building a seamless culture.
Among the additional sessions conducted, there was a fireside chat which delved into the change that starts at the top, a 360-degree approach to physical and mental well-being. We also had an exclusive fireside session on moonlighting, side hustling is the new normal, wherein our panelists shared insights on the evolving workforce and the factors creating serious performance and risk concerns. Another special session focused on watching out for the red flags, the know-how to building a cyber-safe workplace for women. This session explored the legal angle of cybersecurity along with the safety of women in the workplace, followed by a Q&A with the audience. Now let's hear from our esteemed speakers on what they thought about the event.
It was very interesting because you see many people coming from different organizations, different experiences, and everyone has come in just for the common objective of knowing what is working in the industry today, how they can learn from each other and to network.
It was almost looking like ET stands for extraterrestrial. A lot of inputs coming from the universe coming, a lot of great ideas being exchanged with a lot of thought leaders.
It's a very thought out kind of a summit wherein you have built in a lot of activities and a lot of fire chats, a lot of good thought-provoking interactions, group discussions, the panel discussions. So it's really good.
Excellent summit. I should compliment the organizers for bringing together a whole lot of people to discuss issues which are very relevant in the present day organizations, considering the fact that there's so many changes are happening and organizations are seeing global changes. I think what is the kind of impact that has on the human resources, and how do you keep the human resources relevant and continuously sustainable with respect to how they need to deliver on their organizational goals. It's a very important subject to focus on, and it's very timely to discuss this particular subject in this summit.
Excellent arrangements. It's amazing to see so many technologically forward platforms and HR firms coming up and presenting at this forum with such bright ideas.
It was amazing to get insights from the different panels, from my co-panel members today. I think learning is a journey which never stops, and age is no bar for learning. So that's the best part about learning.
So the summit has been eye-opening. I looked at the topics, and oftentimes in these summits, the topics are tactical. They are here and now topics. I'm just so glad that we are talking about a lot of these issues that not only matter now, but they actually matter in the longer run. So in that sense, I congratulate the organizers for picking the topics that will resonate through the years, as well as to the panelists and the participants for being interested in these kinds of topics.
With this, we thank our viewers and promise to see you at the next HR Summit, which will be held in Delhi.